to embrace a youthful mindset and envision your future. Take the lead is in your walls.
Take the lead is in your walls.
This platform serves as a space for engagement designed to equip young people to become effective leaders. They are actively contributing, creatively engaged, and determined in various fields. And now, this is Take the Lead.
Hello to you young people across West Africa and beyond. It's another day and it's a pleasure to welcome you to your youth exchange program, Take the Lead, here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. My name is Augustine Cully, and in this 16th edition of the program, we will be discussing body shaming and also explore effective strategies to overcome the effects, or in some other words, the stigma of body shaming. So please stay with us on 94.9 FM and online. Find us on Facebook, WADR English Service, and on YouTube, WADR at WADR. Of course, send in your comments on our live feed. We will read them out as we go along with the program. Now, it's important to know what body shaming is. So, body shaming has become a prevalent concern in today's society. With the rise of social media, the pressure to conform to unrealistic beauty standards has intensified, leading to a surge in body shaming behavior. Today, we will delve into various aspects of body shaming, including defining what it is, the personal experiences of our guests, the effects or stigma, and also propose ways to overcome this type of bully.
Take the Lead is back in 2025 with a brand new format. Yes, your youth exchange space will now be broadcast live every Friday at 4:05 p.m. Universal Time. And that's not all. Dear internet users and WADR subscribers, you have the opportunity to experience the show live and direct on our online platforms on Facebook at WADR English Service and on YouTube at WADR. Take the Lead every Friday from 4:05 p.m. Universal Time and rebroadcast same day at 1 a.m. Universal Time. Also on every Tuesday, your youth program will be rebroadcast at 7:15 a.m. and 4:05 p.m. GMT. Take the lead and champion the discourse for the betterment of young people.
Well, take the lead in ensuring that young people, not just in Africa, but the world at large, are at the forefront of the best of opportunities they can have, because they are the future leaders. Well, our guests for today are young people from Senegal, from Ghana, and from Sierra Leone. They have agreed to share this platform with us and also share their perspectives about body shaming. They are Sophia Ba. Sophia is a bilingual communication specialist from Senegal. She has over 8 years of experience in moderation, presentation, and public speaking. It's a pleasure to have you in our studios today, Sophia. Welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for that introduction, and I'm happy to be here.
That's wonderful. We are also happy to have you. We also have Fatoumata Sankor. Fatoumata is the co-founder and executive director of Girls Alliance Incorporation in Sierra Leone. How are you doing, Fatoumata, and welcome to the program.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Thank you for having me. I'm great.
Wonderful. We have Sedina Omatob. Sedina is an entrepreneur and a consultant. He's right here in Dakar, Senegal. Sedina, it's a pleasure to have you in our studios today. Welcome.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
How do you feel like this should be your second time on another interesting topic?
It's been very exciting and a real pleasure for me to be again and share this moment with you.
Great, great. Now, from Ghana, of course, we have Priscilla Becky Hera Kojo. Priscilla is a guardian professional with multidisciplinary backgrounds in human resources, educational psychology, and mind science therapy, because you know this topic aligns with her profession as well. It's a privilege to have you on the show today, Priscilla. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I am doing so well.
Great. With that being said by our respective guests, let's get into the program. By hearing first what they understand about body shaming. And Sophia, on my left, we will begin with you. Share your own personal understanding about body shaming.
Okay, well, my personal understanding of body shaming is pretty self-explanatory. It's about shaming somebody over their body features, over how their body looks. That's how I understand body shaming, and I think you introduced it pretty well because it's very prevalent in our society today, especially now that we have social media, now that everybody, or most people, most young people share their life experience, share pictures, share thoughts. We see a lot of it. We see a lot of free will and free speech, which is great. But my question is, where does the freedom stop? My freedom should stop where yours start. Yep. So, and those lack of boundaries, to me, is exactly why we have something as body shaming. Because when you body shame somebody, it's because you don't have any boundaries, and you just feel like it's your right to tell somebody about their physical features or how they look personally, which really doesn't have anything to do with you or shouldn't, basically. That's how I understand it.
Interesting. Sedina, with that being said by Sophia, in terms of how body shaming comes about, in fact, why it is even referred to as body shaming, why would someone want to body shame another person? What can you respond to that in that form and manner?
Thank you again. I think for this, it's becoming more and more common in daily life, in families, at school, and with our friends and members of family. But to understand this question, I think it's about how the person feels about himself or herself. Sometimes some person have some problem. The other problems, they have some concern about their way of thinking, their way of being, and they want to report it to another person. I think that can explain why people need some time to body shame others.
Okay, looking at how it spreads, we will hear more now from Fatimata. Fatimata, share with us your own understanding about how body shaming spreads out, maybe in the community or wherever. Are you getting us, Fatimata?
Okay, to start, I would like to briefly explain. Yes. Are you getting me?
Yes, you are live.
Are you getting me?
Yes, you are live, Fatimata. You are live.
Okay. I said to start, I would like to briefly define a key concept, please, of body shaming. To me, body shaming is humiliating someone by making inappropriate negative comments towards the person's body size or shape or maybe color. And body shaming also cuts across being, because right now we are living in a world where social media has created an unrealistic image of what is supposed to be a woman and a man. You know, growing up, and when we are Gen Z trying to live with the standards of what social media portrays, you know, it creates a ripple effect. Can you detail the question a little bit, because I was having a connection issue? Can you?
Yes, so I was concerned about how body shaming spreads, maybe among young people within...
Hello? Are you getting me?
You are live. Are you also getting me now?
Hello?
Hello, Fatumata, you are live. Then perhaps we'll come back to you. Let's listen to Priscilla as she shares with us her understanding about how body shaming spreads, in what form and manner that this form of bully spreads. It's up to you, Priscilla. Hello, Priscilla, are you getting me?
Yes, hello, sorry. I'm here.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me.
You are live, please.
Yes. So thanks for having me once again. So body shaming spreads, per my experience as an educationist and a human resource person, and also working with people on one-on-one basis when it comes to their mental health. I can say that it can be shared from different angles of society. So let's start with the family. So you might have a child who growing up was plump, and you would have family naming that child as, maybe in Ghana we'll say obolo, we'll say fat, we'll say obese, we'll say, they can even label the child as looking like a round ball, and when all of these things are being said, the family members laugh about it, and then it goes as far as becoming a nickname for that child. It can also happen in the schools, that probably amongst the entire classmates, the child is the only one with a particular body feature. And so the teacher might be the one to even start it. Maybe the teacher was trying to get the child's attention, and for one reason or the other, the child's attention was somewhere else, and instead of the teacher to mention the child's name, rather decides to call the child by that particular feature. And once kids hear an older person nicknaming their mates like that, they think this is normal, and then they carry it along. It also happens amongst our friends. It happens in the society. Maybe you live in a community where when someone is being body shamed, they see it as normal. They laugh about it, because most of the time you hear people saying that, oh, but we are just joking. Why are you being overly emotional? So I think it cuts across different aspects of life.
Okay. Now, an important aspect to you, Sophia, an important aspect of what Priscilla said was body shaming someone in the form of joke. How would you term that? Because often you have friends, maybe colleagues, you will be like a form of joke, and I'm like, oh, Sophia, how your body is shining in fire, your stomach is getting big. Sorry, are you pregnant in some form and manner? To me, that would be a form of joke. But how would you describe such form?
Well, you know the saying, there's always a little bit of truth in every joke. I think that we take that very far, because sometimes people have things to say and they use it as a joke just in case, so that when it's offensive, because it's usually is offensive, they can just say, oh, it was just a joke, just so that the person doesn't take offense. But when you really look deep into it, it doesn't really matter how you form it, whether you want to put it in a joke, whether it matters what you say to me and how you say it. I always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when you really look deep into it, the example that you just gave, I'm going to use that. How is somebody's stomach looking even a safe place for somebody else to even comment on publicly? That's when the lack of boundaries come in. And I think that body shaming, like I said before, comes with a lack of boundaries. And we use that joking, or, they say in the States, a joke on a square is when you use jokingly just so that you can say something offensive, just so that you have a backup plan. When somebody calls you out on the offense, you can say, no, it's not offensive, it's just a joke. I just had a conversation. It's very interesting. I just had a conversation about someone who just said, but nowadays people take offense to everything. True, the sensibility level of society has gone up. Now, is that for the good or for the bad? I think it depends. For some of it, it's good because we used to live in a world where we had the liberty to do certain things that are very toxic, and now people are calling out toxicity because we're getting, I think, more emotionally and psychologically evolved as a society in general to be able to be like, no, what we did 10 years ago is actually not okay. So I think that we should keep calling things out, and we should keep boundaries on what we say to people and how we say things to people, depending on the relationship we have with those people. What a colleague can tell you is different from what a sister or family member can tell you, and we should keep that in mind.
Considering the reality with you, Sedina, if I am fat and you look at me, or I am big, you look at me and it's been a while, and you notice I've grown up some weight, and you like, oh, Augustine, you are big. You weren't like this before. Now see you are big, you are fat. The reality is that I am big and I have changed over a couple of times now. Is it not a reality in what he's saying that I could maybe term that as a body shaming to you, Sedina?
I don't think so, because it depends on the type of relationship I have with you. If you are friends, and I'm allowed, I think, to tell you some kind of things that I am not allowed to tell to a colleague or another person. As you said, a joke is just a mean to tell something true to another person in a way that doesn't hurt her. Our relationship allows me to tell you that kind of things because we have these interactions, this kind of interactions. But if it is a colleague, it is about a colleague. I think I'm not allowed to tell him or her some this kind of things because the person may welcome it as a bad words, as words that can hurt him, or he or she may think I have the intention to hurt him or to hurt her.
Okay.
But if you are friends, I can't use a joke and tell you something in a way that you will be very understanding, very and to welcome it as just a joke, a word that you can take to work with, to live in. How can I? How?
Maybe based on the relationship we have.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Let me ask Fatmata. Have you been or have you experienced what we term as body shaming before? If yes, how was it like, and how did you consider that?
Okay, that's such an interesting question. Growing up, I used to be one of the brilliant girls in class. I'm still the brilliant girl, and also I was kind of short. I'm still short. Growing up, and when you are in school and with your colleagues, that puberty stage, everybody's experiencing puberty. All of your colleagues are growing up and getting tall, and I was lagging behind. I was the last to actually experience menstruation, and also I was still the shortest. So each time when we are having a privileged conversation with my friends, they will all ask you. They will say, "You are so short. How come you are so short? I mean, you are not eating right. Look at you." I mean, and they'll also say jokes like, "In fact, you're not even physically mature yet. It's like you're still a kid." And mind you, that time I was in high school. And when you're in high school, as an adolescent, everybody expecting you to have those kind of puberty, puberty stages are supposed to be going on, So and that put me through a lot, And I can vividly remember it also led me to change my diet. I was having a diet disorder. I started eating foods like bodybuilding foods and vitamins, and just to make sure that I can go tall as compared to the other girls. And I was actually kicked out of some classes where we are supposed to be acting a role play. Some say I'm too small for the role, and I'm too short, and that those spaces that I was supposed to be entering, but due to the people that body shamed me because of my height and because of I was lagging behind because of puberty and all sorts of, create an effect in me, which led to me like I was not even confident into entering spaces anymore. It led me to having a lot of self-doubt that I am not fit to be in this place. You know, when you have you want to, you know, growing up, you want to have that burning desire. You have that burning desire to, like, I want to contribute, you know, I want to feel belong, I want to enter into these spaces like my other colleagues as we are in school. I was always bullied because of my height. I was bullied because also they said, oh, I'm the pimples girl. I used to have lots of pimples, you know. So for me, body shaming, it's kind of practical. I live with it. These experiences, like also with it, even too in my university days.
Okay, now let's cross over to. Yes, we'll get back to you for more of that. Let's also hear from Priscilla, her experience with regards to body shaming. How was it for you, Priscilla?
So for me, when I was in junior high, I was called fat. And amongst my classmates, I was the fattest amongst all of them. And so at a point, what was happening was that whenever a teacher is in the classroom and the teacher asks a question and I know the answer and I raise up my hand, most of the time the teacher will say, get up and answer. Now, I loved sitting in front just so that I could pay attention. When I get up, I will hear my classmates saying, hey, sit down, you're covering the entire board. We can't see whatever it is that the teacher is writing on the board. It continued for some time. So I now decided that I was never going to answer any question in class. When I was in secondary school, the same thing happened. And so because of that, I kept shying away from people. Like, I wouldn't want to be in any situation where I would have to maybe talk in front of people or be part of a group to do anything just because of my body size. I did not want anybody to criticize me, especially here in Ghana, where if someone hasn't seen you even in over a week, the first statement that will come out from the person's mouth is something about your body. So it really stifled my growth along the way.
Okay. Thank you so kindly. Now, before we take a break, we'll also have to do justice to these two people in the studio with me. Sophia, how was it for you in terms of your experience?
Okay, so, well, of course, I've heard a lot. As we all had growing up, I think we all, as we can hear from the two beautiful ladies' experience, I've heard comments about, you know, different parts of your bodies, your eyes, your features, etc. But what I want to touch on is more, what does that, because I've always had tough skin. Okay, growing up, I've always had tough skin, so this didn't really bother me because I was always retaliating. And by retaliating, what I've learned is actually that everybody has something that is worth talking about. Okay. For example, if somebody talks about my eyes, my weight, I can definitely find something on their physical features to talk about, or even their character. It doesn't really matter, because a lot of flaws, what we see as flaws, can be physical, but the most important flaws are usually flaws of character. So you can attack someone, and we can both attack and be both on the attack and be a bunch of bullies, right? But what I found that was interesting growing up about bullies is that usually when they're on the attack or when they actually body shame, it says more about the person who does it than the person who receives it, because the person who receives it can react different way depending on how much they have tough skin, how many insecurities they have, whatever. But the person who's on the attack usually is either hiding their own insecurities or either trying to diminish, because I've seen that, I've lived that, diminish somebody else in a moment where they don't want that person to, I don't know, to be the center of attention positively.
And then I'll hold you right there. Is it intentional? Body shaming, is it intentional?
when it gets to body shaming, it usually intentional. It is usually intentional, I think, because the example that Sedina gave earlier is really important. If, for example, you're his friend or his colleague, and he be like, and you put on some weight, he has the right, or maybe you have the relationship where he can tell you, look, I've noticed that you put on some weight, maybe you should get in the gym. Now my question is, would it make a difference if he pulled you to the side and told you that in between you two, or if he did it in an assembly of a lot of people that he knows that you would be embarrassed in that moment because maybe you don't really know these people, or they're people that you're not close with. Okay. All of that has to be taken in consideration when we talk about intent.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you. To you, Sedina, quickly. How have you experienced it, if you have experienced it?
Yes, I have experienced it a moment about almost of my weight. Some colleagues, some classmates, some friends were usually joking about how I look, how I am a bit, how can I say, they thought I am not exactly how I would be.
Okay.
They usually compare me with the others, how they look, how they walk, how they their skin, their weight, their height, etc.
Okay.
And because of that, they thought I was not a correct person. But I think I have some kind of resilience that I use somehow to not be affected by these comments and how they talk about it.
Okay, great. Well, we have so far listened to interesting experiences from our guests on this 16th edition of Take the Lead in the year 2025. Let's now listen to WADR's Christopher Aticho for more insights about the topic.
When someone judges, stigmatizes, or negatively criticizes someone solely based on their body shape, size, or weight, it's called body shaming. The practice is more common than many people think, and it can potentially lead to a number of issues, including physical, emotional, and mental consequences. Body shaming can happen in all sorts of environments. Peers at school or work are common sources, but it can also come from partners, teachers, parents and other family members, healthcare workers, or even strangers. It can also be internalized, with someone directing negative thoughts or comments at their own appearances. This type of self-inflicted body shaming may be the most dangerous, contributing to feeling of depression, low self-esteem, and other mental and physical health concerns. The issue affects people of all ages, genders, ethnic backgrounds, and body shapes and sizes, and it can have long-term psychological and emotional effects. But there are ways to combat this pervasive issue and to build a healthier relationship with your outer appearance and inner self in the face of these comments. Some of these measures include the practice of self-love. Self-love is about recognizing and appreciating your own unique beauty and worth, regardless of your body shape or size. This practice involves telling or showing yourself how much you appreciate yourself and focusing on all the beautiful and even miraculous things your body can do, rather than getting stuck on a negative or lack mindset. Also, find supportive friends and family. No one goes through this world alone, and a strong support system has been found to boost mental health while acting as a buffer against negative comments and self-talk. Family and friends who are sensitive to your feelings and respect you as a person, rather than treat you as someone who needs to shape up or learn better, can be hugely helpful assets in your life. And finally, finding help for mental health. If you are dealing with issues around body shaming, negative self-talk, or poor self-esteem, help is available. There are a number of therapists that can help you learn how to recognize and change negative thoughts and behaviors, as well as fully love and embrace yourself and cultivate a more positive life and perspective. If you are unsure where to start looking, you can consult your primary care physician for recommendations on a therapist, psychologist, support group, or other mental health program. A number of mental health hotlines can provide more resources and information. Regardless of where you look, the most important thing is to look for help. Body shaming can be a damaging experience to go through, but it doesn't have to be a defining one.
Thanks to Christopher Aticho for that insight.
Hey people, my name is Mello, Afrobeat singer from Guinea and Conakry. I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Hello, my name is Fatou Bintou Asuke. I'm the CEO of African Start Shop and I love listening to your program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Yeah, welcome back to Take the Lead, your youth exchange platform that discusses all aspects of young people's livelihoods. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR, on Facebook, WADR English Service, and worldwide at WADR.org. Let's quickly read out some comments from our live feed. This one from the Facebook. Gabriel Dolo says, good afternoon, Augustine and the panelists. I'm watching from Monrovia, Liberia. Sir, thanks so kindly for the impressive discussion on the shore. Bokal Tal Calaban says, bother shaming, another interesting topic, Augustine. Something that can go till cause suicide should not be neglected. Bother shaming is those weapon which has bullets as words, and let me get it right here. He says body shaming is those weapon which has bullets as words, and the way that one lays his eyes on somebody, a very bad behavior making lots of damages. None should tell to somebody what he doesn't want to be told. Difference of human beings is what makes life nice. And Mariama Gandhi says, great one, says, I think she's referring to one of the panelists here. Let's quickly recognize our partner stations across the West African sub-region. In Nigeria, we have Darling FM in Owerri and Nenzid FM in Kaduna State. In Liberia, we have Alternative Youth Radio in Lofa County, DCN Radio in Riverside County, Kwatika Radio in Bone County, and Radio Bombing in Bombing County. In Sierra Leone, we have African Young Voices there in Freetown, Radio Buff, Mal 91, and we have Hands of Hope in Freetown, as well as Eastern Radio in Kono District. All the way there in Ghana, we have Radio Path in the Savannah region and Royals FM in Wenchi. Crossing over to the Gambia, we have Numi FM in the North Bank region. Of course, Radio Veritas in Banjul. Thank you all for often relaying this program to our listeners across the sub-region. Now, let's return and resume this program. We will come to Priscilla from Ghana to talk more about the effects of body shaming. But before you talk about the effects of body shaming, I would just want you to weigh on this. There is this thing in Ghana, a fat person or someone who is big in Ghana, that person is often called Obolo. I guess you would know more about that. So tell us more, address the issue, such growing up, and how did it affect maybe you or another person that you saw being referred to as Obolo? Priscilla, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you very much for the question. In Ghana, if you are a person, whether male or female, and you have more flesh, they call you Obolo. So that's how it's mentioned.
Okay.
And yes, and it is something that has become normalized. Normalized so deeply that even a baby who is trying to walk, who has more body flesh, can easily be called obolo, and everybody will laugh about it. Some way, somehow in Ghana, like I said before, if someone hasn't seen you for a while, the first thing they would actually talk about is about something on your body, which most of the time it is about your body size. I am a big woman. I am fat, plump, whatever label anybody chooses to give to me. And growing up, I have realized that as soon as someone meets me, the first thing the person will say is, "Oh, you become big. Why have you become so big?" My lady is talking about boundaries and stuff. Here in Ghana, when it comes to people talking about your body weight, most people do not know anything called boundaries. They just say it as it is. As long as the words come into their mind, they think that just opening their mouth and labeling people and saying it is okay. And it really goes a very long way to affect a person, which it is just until recently that I would say that mental health education is growing here in Ghana. And so because the education is reaching out to a lot of people are becoming a bit more conscious, and they're understanding that whatever labels you choose to give to a person, it can greatly affect the person's entire life.
Okay.
Yes. So if I use myself as an example, it did not affect my schooling, it affected my social life. So for a very long time, I wouldn't go out at all. Even if I go to school, I don't want to talk to anybody. And when I started working, it made it look as if I didn't like people. So now they just weren't body shaming me with the fact that I was big. Now they were labeling me as antisocial. So I guess that we need to get to the point where people need to understand that no matter how a person looks, it is not your place to label the person. The person is very much aware as to how they look. I also understand that because of certain relationships with people, someone might think that it is okay for them to. For me, I do not have any friend in my space who calls me by my body size. It is a conversation I have had with them that I am not comfortable with such conversations until I bring that conversation up to say that, okay, so I think I want to do something about my weight and I want us to have a conversation. There and only then is the person allowed to talk about my weight. If I meet someone outside and the person tries to body shame me in any way, I tell the person nicely, I am sorry, I do not appreciate this conversation, and this is not a conversation I want to have with you. If I did not learn how to create boundaries for myself, I am not sure I would have been on today's show.
Great. Thank you, Priscilla. Now let's hear from you, Fatmata, regarding the effects. What would you consider the effects of body shaming? Fatmata, are you getting us?
Yes, I am.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. For me, I think the effect of body shaming, personally, I think it leads an individual to have a low self-esteem of their self. Someone might look in the mirror and say, "Oh, I'm not good enough. I don't look okay. I don't look right." That will create a deep effect on the individual, not to appreciate his or her own body, but to see to say, "Oh, these people say." Fatima say I'm too short for my age, or maybe this one say I'm too dry, I'm too thin, and also creates a mental health disorder for the individual. Having to accept yourself for who you are, it goes a long way, and it takes a lot of resources to be made use of during that time, because you might be telling that you're not good enough, maybe you're too fat, or maybe you're too thin, or maybe you're too short. It creates a psychological effect in you, for you not to be able to be to be confident in your own skin, and to accept yourself for who you are. I can vividly remember, I struggle with this a lot. I used to have a lot of eating disorder due to me being body shame of my height, and I can say that it takes a lot of resources for you to look at yourself and appreciate yourself for who you are. And also, I think body shaming, the effects of body shaming can also lead to one not accepting, because accepting yourself for who you are, again, we've seen a lot of videos, a lot of pictures now being circulating the social media, which the social media is creating, an objectified image of how one's body is supposed to be and how it's supposed to look like. Mind you, we are all created differently. We do not have the same skin tone, the same skin color, the same height, and the same body, and social media also, it plays a critical role in these effects of body shaming.
Great.
I think, by accepting yourself, taking yourself for who you are, will help you along the way.
Great. Now, Fatmata has just brought us to the aspect of the recommendations. With you, Sedina, maybe you also want to throw light on the effects, but how can we address the issue of body shaming in our society today, which will be your recommendations?
My recommendation, I will go first about the persons that are victims of this kind of a phenomenon. I think the person have to develop a positive psychology at first. How? Why? Because you have to realize your values. You have to identify your strengths, your talents, and put first this talent and strength. Okay. First, second, you have to be in a more positive environment. If you know that if you are in an environment that your colleagues or your friends body shame you, you have to identify more or choose more what kind of people you live with, you talk with, etc. And you have also to seek help. Maybe you have some psychology specialists that can help you deal with that phenomenon and how to handle it and not be affected by the comments and different those.
Great. Sophia, we're up to you. What are the best ways to addressing maybe the stigma or effects of body shaming?
Okay, so we all recognize that we have to build a tough skin. For sure, everybody, no matter what, has to build up tough skin. Why? Because life is tough. Okay. Simply that. So we have to build tough skin. But also, we have to have a good foundation, and that's through education. That's through parents who have to put in their kids' confidence by expressing positive words, by telling them what they're worth, by telling them you're beautiful, by telling them you're smart, you're important, you're intelligent. All of that is through education, through a positive environment. All of that can be built, right? For the person receiving or just being confronted with the world, just in general, because the world doesn't give us any gifts. You will be in contact with all kinds of people, and you cannot control that. So you have to have a good foundation. That would be my recommendation. I'm also very happy that the level of education on mental health is going up. People are educating themselves everywhere on mental health, here, abroad, etc. And that's a very good thing, because it helps people understand that what they internalize as being okay is actually not okay. There are very toxic situations, there are very toxic environment that we need to call out about and we need to, just talk about
Okay.
that are not good for the development. That's one thing. But I also want to touch on something because you said a recommendation and effects, but I also want to talk about people who do the body shaming.
Okay.
And just talk to them for a little bit, because I want to say, look in the mirror and recognize that whatever you put out there will come back to you. And whatever you say about somebody else, there's something that can be said about you. Nobody's perfect. So it doesn't really matter. Whatever you call out, you feel able or you feel like you have the right to call out about somebody else. Something can be called out about you, and think about how does that make you feel. And also, because we are in the era of social media, how does it, people need to look in the mirror and understand, because I can look at a picture and just don't find that picture attractive, no matter, just have a lot of thoughts about somebody's picture, no matter who, on social media, and be like, oh, I don't think this is beautiful, I don't think this dress is appropriate, I don't think whatever about their body. But will I take my time to write a negative comment or to say something negative about that person? Why would I do that? And what does that say about me to take the time to actually write that?
Okay.
Because if people try to understand why they do the things they do, maybe they can learn something about themselves and go fix themselves. I think that's very important.
Great, indeed. It's very important. Now, as we take leave of you, Fatmata, what are your recommendations quickly to the people or young people within the sub-region?
So for me, basically, I think first you need to reevaluate your circle. If you are in a circle where you are constantly being made fun of, if you're in a circle where all the time you don't talk about good things, you talk about body shaming others, if not one of you in the circle, but body shaming other people, I think you need to evaluate and draw the line. I think by drawing the line also, you set boundaries. You set boundaries in certain discussions. You say, no, you're not supposed to talk to me that way. You're not supposed to be talking to my body. Talk about my body in this kind of manner. And the way goes to you be speaking up for other people. Say, this is not right. This is not how you're supposed to be doing that. Body shaming everybody, someone else doesn't give you the right, but body shaming others is you projecting your insecurities to that person indirectly.
Okay.
Because we are all made differently. Yeah.
Okay.
And also I think because social media now is a pivotal tool, I think you need to unfollow certain people, certain content creators, or maybe people that doesn't complement your ambition, that doesn't complement who you are, because a lot of the pictures, edited pictures circulating in social media, and when you look at them and you compare yourself, maybe I think I need to readjust my cheek, or maybe I think I need to have fillers. No shades, but it starts there.
Okay.
Looking at those pictures, you might have a second thought on you defining yourself or maybe your body as well.
Thank you.
Also, I think, but the most important thing is having your self-worth, saying nice things to yourself constantly, like I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am brilliant, I am brave. These things might seem irrelevant, but they are indeed relevant, and they have helped me a lot and in gaining myself and my self-worth and accepting that I am short. Yes, I am, and I've accepted it as a part of who I am. Yeah.
Thank you, Fatmata. Indeed, that's wonderful to have you. And finally, from you on the Zoom live, let's hear from you, Priscilla, as you take leave of us quickly. What are you to say to the young people quickly? Priscilla, are you there?
Okay. What I can say to the young ones is that you should know that most of the negative thoughts that are going on in your mind or in your head, based on any part of your body that you may have been shamed about, it's not your thoughts. Those are not your words. And so make time and catch those thoughts and ask yourself, this body shaming that I keep because what happens is that the more you allow other people to body shame you, at a point in time, you begin to body shame yourself. So catch those thoughts and begin to replace them with positive words. Because at the end of the day, you are all you have. Your body, especially this particular body, is what you have to use to live on this earth. And then finally, we need to be kind. Kindness is needed on this earth. And so whatever it is that you're doing to somebody, ensure that you're doing it through the lens of kindness. And I do understand that when someone body shames you, you might be quick to want to body shame the person as well. Please don't do that, because the more we keep doing back and forth body shaming, it only means that the body shaming will not reduce.
Thank you.
If someone body shames you, just be in the place and anchor yourself in the truth that you know about yourself. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful being part of it.
Yeah, Priscilla. Thank you, and thank you, Fatmata, as well. Thank you, Sedina. We hope to have you another time.
My pleasure.
Okay, and to you, Sylvia, it was indeed a pleasure having you here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a very good experience being here with you guys. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, listeners and viewers, this is where we conclude the 16th edition of Take the Lead here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal, online at WADR.org, on Facebook, WADR English Service, and YouTube at WADR. Heartfelt gratitude to you. Thank you for following, and join us next Friday for another edition of the program. Remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. Goodbye for now. My name is Augustine Cully.
We thank you for listening to this program in Nigeria on Darling FM 107.3 Owerri, Southeast. Thank